bayoneted Mel Gibson like a stuck pig
No,
before he got
I'm
within
gonna cut you
6
off
feet
right
of.
there.
Okay, all right.
This is Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson does not get bayoneted by a bunch of people who drink tea.
It's true.
No
it's
disrespect.
True. It's true.
So maybe that first scene, one of the first scenes where they go execute all the people at Mel Gibson's house, he might have done that.
No, they wouldn't have been executing wounded people like that, unfortunately.
You sure?
But cinematically, it works as
work.
the perfect foundation for a story of revenge and retribution.
It worked. Like when that movie, what's that first line where he's like, "I have long since feared my sins would come to visit me, and the cost is more than I can bear." I'm
very
like, "Oh,
good.
let's fucking go."
Yeah.
But like, there's such a after that scene where they execute all the people, and then his spoiler alert, his one son is also killed, and then they go to take his other son to be hanged, Heath Ledger, R.I.P. That whole thing back in the woods. I thought that was perfect because obviously, like, he's a composite character. It's not a real thing that happened. But, the way this war is fought, yes, there's a lot of conventional warfare where they're on the battlefield facing each other and shooting. But because it was also like the British are fighting on, I guess, like the away field, you know what I mean? Like they're not the home team and they're fighting on the land that these people live in. That means that in some parts of the colonies, you're fighting out in the woods. You're fighting, in ways that are not conventional war. And like when you see Mel Gibson just be like, "All right, you killed my son. I'm gonna fucking kill all you," and he goes out in the woods and he just hunts these dudes from the side. You're like, that's Mel Gibson. Let's go.
It's incredibly entertaining, no doubt about that.
Oh, don't do this.
And well, in reality, what would have been a more likely scenario under a situation like that is that Mel Gibson's character would have gathered some farmers from surrounding properties, and they probably would have gone after that British column together.
Well, he did have his sons.
Well, yeah, some expertly trained marksmen they
were great.
Yeah, not
Aim
missing,
small, miss small.
Not missing a single round.
That's
hardly
right.
in the whole thing. But the scene that you speak of, it really sort of doubles down on the perception that we have of British soldiers during the Revolution, that they were inflexible, they were rigid, they wouldn't adapt to this new mode of warfare, especially on the American frontier. In reality, what the British would have done under a situation like that, they would have been maneuvering, they would have bayoneted Mel Gibson like a stuck pig before he got within 6 feet of. Okay, all right.
This is Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson does not get bayoneted by a bunch of people who drink tea.
It's true.
No disrespect.
It's true.
All right, like didn't he do like Hacksaw Ridge with the hatchet and shit? Like, you seen him throw that thing?
Yeah, there's a picture of it in that book somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge help. Thank you. I feel like he could have pulled that off. I don't know. That's just me. But what else did they allegedly get wrong in this movie?
Oh boy, let me think.
All right, that's not a good start.
It probably shows many of the battles. It's slightly, and this is forgivable in my mind from a cinematic perspective. Most of these battles, especially in comparison to Civil War battles that would take place 80 years down the road, most of these battles, especially in the South Carolina backcountry, were fairly small, maybe 3,000 men total. In comparison to Gettysburg, like I mentioned a little bit ago, 3,000 versus 165,000. It's a huge gap in regard to what we think of as a big battle. But I would say one of the greatest flaws of the film is its treatment of slavery.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
There's the moment where Tavington's character rides up to Mel Gibson's farm, and he informs all the African Americans on the property that they're now free and they can serve with the king. And one of them kind of timidly comes up and says, "We work this land freedmen."
Right.
That would have been highly unlikely in South Carolina, where the enslaved population actually outnumbered the free population
at the time.
Yes, of white residents.
Yeah, I would think South Carolina, that wouldn't be it.
Yes, yeah. And there you go. There's the picture.
But well, with the hatchet. That's
yeah,
what I'm saying. I can't show it on screen. YouTube is fucking.
But yeah, it treats slavery with kids' gloves, and in actuality, Mel Gibson wanted his character to be a slave owner.
Really?
in the movie, because that gets into the character complexity that makes for a really rich story, because then it poses the question to the audience, how can this man be fighting for freedom when he simultaneously owns people and denies their freedom? I mean, you can't argue that that is a very interesting element from a storyline perspective. But apparently the filmmakers disagreed. They wanted it to be a little bit more black and white. And so that's how they went with it. Missed opportunity.
But they also, isn't it, they pretty much, because his character is saying, I don't want to go to war because I fought in the French and Indian War. I don't like what the British are doing, but like, let's figure this out another way. So he doesn't go to war, but then they vote to go to, like, South Carolina votes to agree with the colonies to go to war. So they go to war. His son goes to war. And then, like, when he ends up joining the war, it's supposed to be way down the line, right? Like, the movie is effectively supposed to be maybe like 1780, 81, something like that.
Yeah, so the movie begins in 1776. And then rather seamlessly, there's a very big 4-year jump.
Right.
They don't even really alert you to that expansive time. Yeah. And so it goes from 1776 to 1780, because that's when the war in the Carolina backcountry really heats up.
Why did it take so long for that to heat up there?
Well, the war was always present, but it's useful to think of the revolution in this light. It happens in 3 major phases. It begins in New England, and also Canada too, for that matter.
Like Benedict Arnold and
Benedict Arnold, the quest for Quebec. Canada almost becomes the 14th American colony when you think about it.
Hey, you guys could maybe. Maybe 51. We'll see.
And then the war drifts into the area where we are right now. And it bounces back and forth like a pinball between New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania between 1776 and 1778. And that's really the hinge point of the war. And you have both highs and lows for George Washington in that time. I mean, what happens here across the river? Utter disaster.
But like Dunkirk kind of in hindsight, right?
Yeah, that's a good analogy when you think about it. And so the war regains traction. George Washington delegates certain commanders to the South, Nathaniel Greene being prominent amongst them. And so that final phase of the war happens in the Carolinas. New York is occupied by the British for almost the entirety of the war. Right. This is a loyalist city for almost the duration of hostilities. Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, you're right.
And so there's just some really fascinating, and I think often overlooked episodes of the war that are happening in South Carolina, North Carolina, and then ultimately culminating in Virginia in 1781 with the Battle of Yorktown.
Right.
So it is all over the continent. It's being waged in Canada. It's being waged in New England. It's being fought in the Caribbean. It's being fought in Florida by the Spanish against the British. This is a world war.
Yeah, Richard Bell, who was in here, that's what his book is about.
Yeah, it was happening in India. It was happening in Europe. It was happening all over the expanse of the North American continent. And so in addition to being a race war, a civil war, a revolution, it's also a world war.
Crazy.
It is.
So what are the most overlooked aspects of what was happening in the theater down in North Carolina, South Carolina, in your mind?
Boy, that's a great question. It really, what it does is that it cements that idea of guerrilla warfare in the American psyche. Yeah, and we often think, that's a great image to think about there. And it helps to instill this idea that every American soldier, every American fighting force was going to be hiding behind stone walls and trees and running away into swamps. Where in reality, the vast majority of full-fledged battles during the American Revolution were face-to-face, shoulder-to-shoulder fights, like we see in some scenes within the movie.
Right.
And so for the likes of Francis Marion, he hardly fights in a full-fledged battle in that last phase of the war. Now, he does serve at the Battle of Savannah, He actually injures his ankle right before the battle for Charleston, and he goes off to recuperate, and he misses being captured when Charleston falls. And so it's that stroke of good luck that allows him to go on with this motley crew, if you will, who perfect this idea of irregular warfare.
Thank you guys for watching the episode. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button and smash that like button on the video. They're both a huge, huge help. And if you would like to follow me on Instagram and X, those links are in my description below.